Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another episode, Let the Truth Be Told. My name is Sean Williams, and I sure appreciate Jason from UPTV and Jake from UPTV allowing me an opportunity to be down in the studio one more time to be able to bring another episode of Let the Truth Be Told. You know, it's been a while since we were on our last program. Big shouts out to my brother Hub, who's over in Rantoul teaching a class over at the schools, one of his passions. And I thank the Lord for Hub being in the last couple segments with me, but being able to not be a participant of today's show, you know. My hat tips out to you, man, and just continue to do what you do to serve the community in the best aspect that you can. You know, I give big shouts out to all the families that we've served over this last little course of about a month or 2 months that have graciously allowed me an opportunity to serve your families in a great aspect of serving and memorializing your loved ones. I don't take that lightly. So I really thank you, and God bless you and your families and continued love and support of the families. So we have so much to talk about today. You know, I've thought about it, I've waited about it, I wrestled about it, I stayed up, I maybe put a Facebook post or two on Facebook this past week on things to talk about. And so as the Lord put something in my spirit, and me and my brother Hub talk about it all the time, is I always tell him, hey man, you know, stop jumping over dollars to get dimes. And so I think that's what today's topic is going to be, is stop jumping over dollars to get the dimes. And so as I do insurance or some other things, you know, we always say, and one of our regional managers say, you know, Sean, and the rest of the fellas, what's the most important thing that you have? And as we ponder on and we think about it, we say, man, what is most important? And some people might say family, and some people might say my career, and some people might say a variety of different things, community. But the most valuable thing that you have is time. And what do you spend your time doing? You know, I just left that barbershop setting, that atmosphere where a melting pot of different minds and mindsets are at. And I just heard a young man say, you know, man, you need to get to this money. You know, it's a lot of money out here, you know. And he was talking about the streets. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, the young guy don't get it. It's the mindset, you know, to go out and do something, you know, illegal, and then to be able to spend, you know, a substantial amount of time in a correctional facility somewhere. You know, you might as well spend that time, that valuable, most precious thing that you only have in life is your time. To spend that time, you know, 10 years out of your life, 15, 20 years out of your life, maybe the rest of your life, when you could have went and got a minimum wage job that will been much more valuable to you and your family and your kids, you know. I mean, you know, young man had another young man that he's raising that cannot afford for a dad to not be in his life. And so as I sat there and I'm just shaking my head, because a lot of people don't get it. I wouldn't just say young people, a lot of people don't get it. One of the most valuable things you have in life is time. And so as the topic is jumping over dollars to get to dimes, you know, Bishop Gwynn, he preached a sermon one Sunday, and he preached a sermon, and I was listening, you know, really diligently to his message. And he preached a message one Sunday, and he said, man, the grass is greener on the other side, but it's weeds. You know, let's not get, you know, all messed up by what it appears to be, you know, because it's just weeds. You know, I remember talking to a banker one day, one of my bankers one day, and he said, you know, Sean, right now, you're giving me blue sky. You know, he needed something tangible, you know, something that meant something, you know. And so as we go through that topic of just thinking about, you know, dollars and time, dollars and dimes, you know, and we're going to go metaphoric, and we're going to talk about how that compares to community, how that compares to life, you know, how that just compares to different things in your life as you go through your daily walk. You know, what makes you react, what makes you tick, you know, the hurts that have happened, the mistakes that have happened, the things that have went wrong. It all develops our mind into a mindset of where we want to be at. And so as we compare that into dollars and dimes, you know, I compare that into maybe a job that you're at, a career that you're at. And as I thought about this topic, I thought of a young lady that I used to work with, and she went to the University of Illinois, and she got a degree in engineering. And she spent a substantial amount of her time, her valuable time as a young lady, developing this career, this lasting career she thought would be in engineering. But really, she came to find out, and as I said and had a conversation with her one day in the barbershop, you know, her dad owned the barbershop and we were working at. And I sat back and I talked to her and I asked her, I said, what made you not want to be in the career of being into that engineering career? And she said, Sean, she said, I just didn't like it. Once I got to doing it, you know, I just didn't like it. This is more of me. I'm able to be inside my dad's shop. I'm able to talk to some people. I'm able to make people feel better with the haircut that I provide, you know. And it just, you could just see the smile and, you know, the aspirations on her face, you know, as she admired what she did. And so many times we go to, we jump into a career that we think might be something of a passion for us. And so, and then we go into this career and then we find out that's not the place that we want to be. You know, a lot of times, you know, when we compare the dollars and dimes, it might not be the dollars. It might be the dimes that give you a wealth of millions. It might give you a wealth of millions. It might give you the things that you really, really enjoy. That's worth a whole lot, the value of it, you know. And so as we think about the value of things, you know, I mean, you know, as we think about the value of different things, you know, it could be family. It could be within friends. It's where do you spend your time doing? You know, a lot of times I always talk about on this segment, you know, people are leaving this community to go to another community. But you take you wherever you go. And so as you know, thought of this community as a dime and you jumped over into another community down in Atlanta or LA or wherever you might, your life travels go, you know, you're thinking of that being a dollar move. But you end up getting down there, and it's really a dime move, you know, because you missed out on your family, you know, for many, many, many years, valuable years of your life, you know. And so as mom got older, dad got older, brothers and sisters got older, and then you end up coming back to this community as I did, you know, many, many years of traveling and doing different things, you know. But don't get frustrated with those moves because all of those are learning experiences. And so as we've had learning experiences, things that, you know, we thought we might wanted to do, but, you know, you always got to revert right back and get back on track, get right back on that track, you know. And I always break down to, you know, your mental, your thinking, you know, how do we think? How do we click? How do we tick? How do we come up with the ideas that we come up with? You know, the things that make us want to inspire us to want to go after those dollars and those dime moves, you know. And I broke it down to hurts, habits, and hangups. And those are three of the things that we're going to talk about, hurts, habits, and hangups. But I also broke it down to training, the mentors, you know, who's in your life, who you're watching. Who are those guys and those girls that inspire you, those men and those women that inspire you to do the things that you do? You know, what have you been listening to? Who have you been listening to? You know, what people are in your life? You know, a lot of times we evolve because of the people that's in our lives. You know, as they pour things on us, as we learn different things, generations after generations after generations, you know, what things have they taught us? What valuable things have they taught us? You know, as I wrote down on my notes, you know, as I were a child, and I remember the adults that were in my life that took me to the bank, whatever local bank it was, and after they spent tireless hours and days and weeks of working for factories or wherever the case they might have worked at that week. And so as they spent hours and hours of trying to build that check up. And so as me, as a young person, you know, really gravitating because young people are really, really pure. And so we watch everything that adults do. And so as they would take me into the bank with them, and we'll wait into a long line to get this check cashed. You know, and I'm just happy to go to McDonald's. I'm excited with them, you know, so we can get this cash. And so as we sat into that bank line and we waited to get the adults check cash, whether it was my mom or dad or brothers or sisters or anybody else in my life that I went to the bank with. And so we waited in these long lines and finally they got the check cashed and we end up leaving and we end up going to maybe McDonald's and then we go to a store, we pick up some shirts or whatever we did, you know. But as I thought about that as an adult, And as I go to the bank now, and as I've learned more, because definitely I try to encourage and I try to, whatever I learn, I try to spread it to you guys. And so as I think about it in those bank lines now, what were those other cubicles for? What were those other lines that people were waiting in? And I thought about it, and as I looked at it, and as I learned more, better now, those were investment lines. Those were the people that were invested in 401ks or some IRA or some investment fund, things that we were never taught as a kid. The things that were really valuable to us, the things that that really would help us out with our time. And so many of us, we just got a consumer's mentality, just a consumer's mentality. And it's the things that we were taught. It's the steps that we watched everybody else do. And nobody ever come in and educate and teach us anything different. So years after year after year, it's that generational thing that we learn. And so as my grandma taught my mom and dad, and then we teach our kids what we've learned, and we never learn anything better. So, I just give you the invitation, to when you're banking, go in and ask those other questions to your bankers, your investors, your people that's in the bank, the financial people that are there. What else do you offer? What other things do you offer in your bank besides just cash in my check, or a savings account, or a checking account? What can we do with some of this money? That help me and the future of the ones that come up under me. So that's just one illustration of things that I've learned. But when we go to Hertz, what develop our mindsets into making us tick the things that we think about. What makes us think the way we think. And so as I talked about earlier, dealing with family and loved ones and loss of loved ones, and things that might not have went right, the mistakes that might have been made in our lives, that we all try to heal. And so as we try to heal and try to grab it all together, that helps us develop, where I'm not going to go down that road again, and we kind of get that mindset of that, and that develops us into a thinking process, the habits, just the things that we do repetitiously every day. We don't even think about it. We just go into a mode and it just happens just like that. The way we think about things and then the habits that we bring on. And that's what it was. It was just a habit of cashing that check. Just the same motions that we do every day. Those motions, that comfortability of things, the things that we just do over and over again on a daily basis, and never even trying to add something new to our repertoire. Never just taking a snippet here and let's see if we can apply it. Because a lot of times we just do what's comfortable to us. We never allow ourselves to stretch, Always allow yourself to stretch. Pastor Johnson always talk about the uncomfortable things that allow us to stretch. Some things just can't be just hunky-dory and just all good. They always talk about, when you talk about health, you always talk about the things that don't taste so good might be good for you, and just the value of things, making us stretching out to just be what we're supposed to be. A lot of us don't like to stretch. I mean, we just kind of comfortable, kind of stagnant and stretching, but those are the things that's going to make us better. Just doing some things outside the box, and doing some things, and it don't come with a lot of, a lot of people might not agree to what your new direction might be. A lot of people don't agree with what your new direction might be, but it might be the things that God has called you to do. And so as we talk about, jumping over dollars to get to dimes, I got another friend, and I've always told him, I said, what are you doing this evening? He said, oh, I'm going to ref a game. And I always say, man, you're going to get that $25 per game. It's something that you're really just going to get a little extra change. You're really not into it. It's really not your passion. You kind of just jump in there kind of just to do something. But this particular guy, his passion is sales, is insurance, is providing insurance. And I know you can only spend so many hours a day doing it. But at the same time, just the educational piece to educate people. You can see the glare in his eye once he's out there grinding. He's grinding every day, educating people about life insurance. you know. And I tell him, I said, man, stop jumping over dollars to get the dimes, bro. I said, man, focus in on them dollars, because the things that what you're most passionate at, those, man, it's gonna rain on you. You know, you don't have to worry about the things that you're passionate about. You don't even have to focus on dollars. It's gonna come right to you. The monetary gain is gonna come to you. It's all the other things that you need to grab, you know, the compassion in what you're doing. People will see that. They'll see how much love you put in it. I know a young lady that's a cook, and you can kind of tell that she's passionate about what she do because of the fact of all the ingredients that she put into the meal, you know, all the prep that she does in the meal, you know, the presentation of the meal, you know, all of those things are involved. So those are the things that bring the dollars. You know, you won't have to worry about not having that monetary gain. So, you know, in our personal lives, our jobs, our relationships, our careers, our choices, you know, we find a benefit in it because we invest most of our time. And I go back to this time thing because that is the thing that's most precious to us, you know. And so as we waste our time, I remember with I was in my shop one day with a bunch of young men, and I was looking outside my shop, and I was watching an older gentleman, you know, he was in his senior years, and so he was out and he was gathering cans, and he, you know, you could tell he had oxygen masks and some things of that nature going on with his health, and I was just explaining to those younger guys, I said, man, if you can go over and ask this older guy to just do a man in the mirror and just roll the video camera back of life. And he would probably tell you about the importance of time and time management, you know, and what did you do with your time? And I was explaining to him, I said, you know, if he probably could explain to you, it's probably a lot of things he wasted his time on, you know, that got him out here, because right now he's probably not gathering those cans and stuff just because, you know, it's just something that he want to do. It's probably to fill a void of a financial problem that he has with just trying to make meet some financial needs in the household, you know. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not knocking anybody that does that. You know, I'm not knocking it at all, the recycling process of it, you know, but I'm just telling them, you know, if you don't want to be in certain situations down the road as a senior, you know, start using your time and the value of time wisely, you know, because it's the youthfulness that you have, you know, taking advantage of your youthfulness. You know, I was explaining to somebody the other day is that I know at least one guy that retired from 2 jobs. Because he applied himself, you know. He retired from 2 jobs and toward the end of his life, you know, he lived a very comfortable life, him and his family, a very, very comfortable life. He applied himself, you know, and nothing comes easy. Nothing's gonna, believe you me, nothing's gonna come easy. It's not just gonna happen like that, you know. It's not gonna happen. You have to really apply yourself on a daily basis, and it might come with some long hours. You know, it might just come with a lot of long hours and a lot of early mornings, a lot of late nights, you know. And so it just happens like that. You know, anything that comes too easy is, you know, you almost like, this too good to be true, because it just don't happen like that. I mean, a lot of things that happened in my life, you know, it took a lot of prayer, you know, going to God about it to make sure it was the right decision, right move to make. You know, I was speaking about moves, you know, about the moves to make, what make me click, what make me tick. First of all, I always take it to God first and pray on it. You know, get that thing sunk deep into my soul and my spirit, so I eat it, I dream it, I sleep it. You know, I wake up to it every morning, you know, making these right moves, writing down notes, write that vision, make it plain, put it on some paper, you know, what you want to happen. You know, a lot of times when you go on a job interview, they're going to ask you, you know, what's your plans for the next 5 years, the next 10 years? They want to see if you're going to be an asset to the company. But you are your company. You are your walking company. You know, whatever your name is, John Doe, Jane Doe, whatever it is, you are your walking investment. You know, a lot of us spend a lot of time investing in other people while ignoring our own dreams, our aspirations. I thought the other day, I'm like, man, Life has got so tough that and people beat each other up so bad, that a lot of us don't even dream no more. We didn't let the devil come in and stopped us from even wishing. You used to always see people that say they wish. We'll crack a wishbone, off the chicken with, man, who gonna get that piece? Who gonna get that piece? And we'll wish. We'll see that shooting star go by and we'll make a wish. But a lot of us didn't stop dreaming. We didn't stop wishing. Don't let nobody steal your joy like that and steal your peace. I don't care what's going on in an environment. Always have some hope. We can go to church day after day after day. Day after day after day. I don't care if you hit all the services. I don't care if you listen to every sermon. But once you cannot hope and you cannot wish and dream and be able to put that in some action so that you get to a place of peace, it doesn't make a difference. And I've told a lot of my friends that, a lot of our, my church friends, you could sit, if you, and then if it don't stretch you, if you're in a place where it don't stretch you, it don't make you no better, you come back out of the service just like you left, like you went in, it don't stretch you, man. First of all, you got to evaluate it. Is the messenger, is the messenger the right messenger? Is he giving me the right message? And then you got to do the man in the mirror, because a lot of time it ain't the messenger. It ain't the place that you're worshiping. It's you. It's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Do I want this? Do I want this newfound freedom, this newfound vision, this newfound dream, this newfound career? I remember when I first early on, and big shouts out to Miss Janet over at Concept College. I love you, Miss Janet. She helped me develop a lot of skills. But I remember when I started my barbershop early on, and the big shouts out to Miel, this go out into his 5th year that he's passed away to help me develop, who I am in the barbershop. Big shouts out to you, man, and your family out there, and God bless you and rest in peace, But as we started working on things, and as I sat back with that young man and we sat in the car one night, and I'm giving him an illustration of what I've learned, and what I've taught to other young barbers, cosmetologists, and I talked to him and I wrote a little piece on it early on in my career. And I said, man, are you getting in this newfound career for it to be a career, or are you into it for just a hustle? It's a big difference. And the difference is a career, that's something that's going to be lasting. That's something that you're going to put your all into. That's something that's way more bigger than just a 9-to-5 or a part-time job. A hustle is something that fly by night. You can do it if you want to, or you ain't got to do it. And a lot of times we get into stuff like that. I remember, early on, and I kind of was out kind of underground then doing it. But before I got into the shop, and I remember a brother, coming to me and he was looking forward to my haircuts but he had a big business meeting. And I used to like going out with my buddy Petey and them and Lamont and them and meeting them at the Bicentennial and playing basketball. And that was one of my pastimes, one of my things I kind of like to do, And so it goes right back into what I had been saying earlier. But it was something that I liked to do, and I used to break out at 11 o'clock, and everybody that knew me for cutting knew I used to break out at 11 o'clock, and I would leave from 11 to 1 to go play basketball and argue with the guys about nothing really. Who was better in this, and who did the crossover, and who made the layup, and who got the rebound, and all those things that really mean nothing to me now, But the guy came to me and he said, Sean, where was you at, man? He said, man, I needed you. I had a big business meeting this morning and I needed a haircut. He said, man, what are you going to be? You going to be a basketball player? You going to be a barber? You going to be a professional barber, or you going to be a professional basketball player? Well, my basketball career had been gone long ago, but I had to invest my time, my most valuable time, into being a professional barber that was eventually going to be a business owner of a professional business that was going to lead me into the path of being a professional funeral home owner, to put my mom into a restaurant, into a bunch of different things that life has that God has blessed life to bring to me. And that helped me mentor kids and do all kinds of work with the city of Champaign and different city leaders and city leaders for the state of Illinois. And so, I mean, you know, it's those forks in the road where you just got to, man, you just got to make the tough decision. Say, man, you got to cut some things out, man. Man, these guys over here frustrating me. And I'm going to tell you, when you start to know that this is not the right place to be in your life, it's when it starts frustrating you. Because things that are anointed and destined for you, it just come easy. You know, it come just easy for you to do. And so that's when you know you're on your right path, because it's not so hard. That's when you know you're in the right relationship, because it's not so hard. You shouldn't have to beg folks to be your friend. They shouldn't always step on you for you to be the friend, you know, or be in a relationship with a significant other, you know, put you down all the time. You know, it should be encouraging, uplifting, you know, somebody to endorse what you believe in, you know, kind of get on the same path with you, you know. And so that's kind of, you know, I mean, that's just the blueprint. That's just the ground, the ground level stuff, you know, the entry level stuff, or just a path of trying to do the right things and be successful, you know, and all of those things, you know, just evaluate to dollars and dimes to me, you know, and the things that really mean something, you know, the things that really just mean something. And I just thank the Lord for every adventure. As I close my eyes kind of on this program and just reflect back, man, you know, and I never did it on my own, just by myself. It always took a collective group of people, like-minded people that believed in what I believe in, to help me do what I do. You know, as I spoke with one of the city leaders and the other day, you know, over lunch, and being asked the question, you know, what are some of the things that can help the city grow? What are some of the goal point setting that can help the city grow? You know, and as we talked about education, and we talked about workmanship for young people, and the summer youth program and things of that nature, and employers that have jobs out there, but being able to get the right people in the right places at the right time to be an investment in their corporation. And as I instructed this city leader, and I talked to one of the brothers that that's in community work, and he spoke with another organization and was telling that president, hey, man, we need to really do something for these guys that's on the street, and be able to get them off the street and get them into a working environment and this, that, and other. And I was telling even that guy, that community guy, look, man, it's a mindset. Until your mind is conditioned right, that guy's going to go on a job and he's going to mess it all up for the next man that's coming behind him that really need that opportunity. And as I explained that same illustration to that city leader, you know, let's go grab the people that's already working that get it. Let's go grab somebody at the gas station that understands that they got a family, that's willing to jump, that's willing to go get the dollars and stop jumping over dimes. You know, somebody that really get it, that understand that they got a family. They got young kids that's looking up to them now. You know, that time thing might have been very important to them, where they start to understand that time is very important. You know, that my significant other that I want to marry, that I want to live the rest of my life with. Let's go grab them. Let's get them prepared, you know, with some life skills, a life skills program. And then elevate them into that corporate job or that factory job where somebody is allowing them to now make $17, $18, $19, $20 an hour. That's really going to enjoy that position, you know. And so let's you know. And when I think about that, you know, I'm not trying to throw anybody away. That ain't what I'm saying. Not to throw anybody away, because that guy that's on the street, that girl that's on the street, they're very important. I love those people. You know, I love loving on those people. I love trying to get them on the right path, you know, or just getting some type of freedom, because freedom is what we want, you know, being able to jump and get right to those dollars, not to those dimes, jump over those dimes to get to some dollars, you know. And so, you know, that's just the mindset of me. You know, and it's not no educational piece, and not I went to college or things like that. It's just the thing. It's the bumps and the bruises along the way that make you make those decisions, start learning from your mistakes. And then I don't have to necessarily make all the mistakes. So always keep a listening ear to those that are around you, the ones that already made mistakes. You know, those seniors, those elders. You know, it's a reason why in tribes they had people that were called elders. because those were the seasoned people. And I listened to them all the time in my life. I listened to Mr. Henderson's all the time in my life. That'd tell me, Sonny, if I could do now what I do now, what I could have did back then, or do back then what I learned now, that's what I'm trying to say. Do back then what I know now, man, life will be total different, Sean. And so those are the pieces that we try to bring to the table, man, so that you don't have to look back on your life and say, man, I wish I had the time back. Because time is Time is the most important things that we can never get back. We can never, ever get back. You just can't get the time back, you know? And so as everybody's important to me, you know, everybody's important. I was, you know, we just had a very historical moment with the United States of America and in the land of the free, the home of the brave. You know, we just had a historical moment with the Pope being able to come to the United States, you know, for the first time, this particular Pope. And so coming in, and he spoke to various leaders, various United States of American leaders and United Nations leaders and people of Congress, and you know, and he spoke to various different people, and just trying to bring some type of understanding on an array of different issues that's going on around the world, and that was great. And so, and then right behind that, about a week later or so, I think within this past week, last week, we had various world leaders come and address the United Nations, and then and then days right after that, the Russian president goes back to Russia, and he make the tough decision and the order to have airstrikes in Syria. And as I thought about that thing, I'm like, man, you know, I mean, all of these world leaders came right in a space, supposed to be on one common ground for the best interest of humanity. And nobody could come up with some sovereign ground where we can come up with a collective effort where we can understand each other enough to provide peace. Went right back and made a decision to be able to now make war and could possibly take us into another world war. And I just could not wrap my mind around this decision that was made. But in a way I can kind of understand, because, you know, nobody wants anybody else to be doing great, and we're over here in our country suffering. So as that Pope came in to try to add some godly principles to this whole scenario of array of different basket full of problems, it just didn't work out that way. Everybody went back to their own country, and I don't know if they got their own, own selfish type of understanding in the way they see life and the direction of life. But until we see things as it's everybody's problem, you know, I mean, we're jumping over dollars to get the dimes because it's not taking us into a direction, you know, it's taking us more of destruction. And I've always said on every one of these programs, we got to understand to the place of where we're at. And when we always add some faith to it and some godliness to this here, I always will continue to say, you always got to watch and pray, and you got to understand who's behind the curtain, man. And so the devil's here to kill, steal, and destroy. And as we look around us, man, people are getting destroyed on every level. You know, yesterday watching the news and being able to see what's going on, and we see another mass shooting at a university in Oregon, you know, where the devil has made somebody's mind click, tick, and add a level of destruction to bring another family to a place of hurt. You know, and as we continue to ignore situations, and we jump over, you know, dollars to get the dimes, you know, and all our mindset is about dollars. You know, it can't be that, because in the end, we're trying to get to some common ground, some place where we all can live and thrive and survive. You know, and I listen to a lot of talk radio, man, and the influence of some of these talk radio hosts, just the influence. I talked to a government official, and director of on one of these boards, and as he said, Sean, I watch your video, and you have a lot of influence in the people that watch us, that watch you every Sunday night, and and as I pray, before I even say anything out my mouth, before I come on this program, I always say, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be accepted on thy sight. O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. Let me be able to say something that's going to encourage somebody, And as I listen to these hosts of these programs, not everybody believes in God, and not everybody's trying to say something that make you better, make you grow, make you click, you click and tick and think better, about the decisions that you make, because people get into them dollars, but they really getting dimes out of it. They really getting dimes because we all can do better. As I watch big buildings, and we're in a place in this community, where we might not even see it because sometimes we so stuck that we got a cloud of vision over us, and we can't see the forest for the one tree that's stuck in front of us. But we're in a great city that's moving fast, on a fast track to building beautiful buildings, beautiful places and spaces for us. And as we ride down University, we see things. We ride on North End, and we ride all over town, and we see new things growing. We got to find out where we fit in at. But I always say this, and I'll tell anybody, any leader of this, until we invest in the people is the main thing. We can build all the big buildings that we want to build. But if we don't have nobody to go in and respect it, enjoy it, and then even duplicate it, so that it's going from one person to the other, each one teaching one to be better. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference about your big this or your big congregations and your this and that. If nobody's growing, nobody's changing, we study building up more people that add more self-destruction, that's jumping over dimes to get to dollars. Jumping over dollars to get to dimes, to get to a situation that the ending result is destruction. They get so frustrated. And the influence of all these different people, these different organizations, and the promotions of guns and attacking other people, and we in a really, really tough place, man, where you really got to have your force field on. You really got to watch what you listen to, what you eat, watch what's poured inside of you, the social meal that's delivered to you, the political meal that's delivered to you. We got all these different candidates. I watched all these Republican debates and so many of this stuff that's going on, that's influencing us to make the decision, that's really building up a level of hatred, one toward another. And I recommend, and I will say this until I close my eyes, I think one of the best things in life, and life could have brought on me, was the military. And my brother Hubby will say the same things, and I know other brothers that will say the same things. And not just a black thing or a white thing. When I say brothers, we all in the military, and we added that to our repertoire. You my brother. I watch your back, you watch mine. We leave no soldier behind. And if we take that same concept into community, and we really have that passion, that deep-rooted thing when we make our decisions for community, we ain't really trying to leave nobody behind. That's our investment. And so, as we think about that, I love it because of the fact that it's a human thing, it's a humanitarian thing. We don't look at it as race. So when we look at this division that's being brought up, we're making a decision whether if you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, you're a Tea Party member, And so when we looked at that, and I just had another brother and a big shouts out to you, Big Bill, and man, that was a great program that you put on at Apostolic of Authority. Big shouts to you, Bishop McGee, for allowing Bill to, just develop inside your church and be the man that he is today, and saying the things out of his mouth that's rooting deep in his heart, that's been rooting deep in his heart. A personal friend of mine that I've been knowing, but the things that he said, even in that meeting, in that space that Sunday afternoon, in that great service, he talked about when he talked to other young men that look at the breakdown of denominations of churches, and how did they compared that to gangs in the street. You know, I'm in the disciples, I'm in the vice lords, I'm the this, I'm the that. And how we have allowed that to divide us, even when the one thing that we're supposed to be united on, and that's worship of God and daily walking the things, the Christ-like things. Don't let that divide us. Let's let that one thing bring us all together. And as the United States of America, that should be the one thing that brings us together. As a world, that should be the one thing, humanitarian, you know, just beliefs should be the one thing that bring us together. But man, just like everything else, we let the devil slide in, kill, steal, and destroy us. Make our mindset. And years after years of hurts and hurts and hurts and hurts, then we come back to the table. And we try to patch it up and we try to fix it up and however we can to make it work, you know. And everybody's motives ain't pure. It's what you're into it for, you know. I mean, everybody don't have the same motives. So that's why the Bible talks about watching and praying. It's talking about watching and praying and keeping one eye open. It made me think about my nephew Jamar and Berean Covenant Church. You know, they take their ministry to the streets. So big shouts out to you, Pastor Comer, Councilman Kyles, and those guys taking it straight to the people that need it. You know, and as they went to minister and do some street ministry to some people, some young men on the street. And my nephew was explaining it to us in a radio listening audience one day. And he said, you know, as we prayed for these young men, but these young men were some tough cookies, you know, and as he expressed their love for them and asked them, could they pray for him? And as they started praying and everybody kind of closed their eyes, Jamar said, I had to keep my eyes open because we got to watch our environment. Everybody can't be asleep. Everybody can't keep their eyes closed, you know. You can't keep your eyes closed. That's what I always say when I get on the highway and I'm driving, I always try to get me enough rest so I can drive myself and everybody that's with me. Because I never like nobody to drive the wheel for me, take the wheel for me. Me personally, I don't ride Ferris wheels. I don't go on no type of stuff at Six Flags. It can be our local fair. I don't like that because I'm not in control. Because when you allow somebody else to get in control, you're on their terms. So I don't like that. I like to be in a place where I can kind of control the atmosphere, control the environment. But, you know, my brother Hub always say, are you going to be a thermometer, a thermostat or a thermometer? You know, the thermostat, you can turn it up and down. The thermometer, you go in there and you got to blend in with the temperature. You know, I like to be able to kind of turn it up and down, be able to maneuver, you know. And so, you know, just bringing it to you, just kind of raw and real and just trying to make us better. You know, just want to make us better because we can't be on the island by ourselves. We got to be able to work together. You know, and so many times as countries, as communities, as we run our own lives, we try to do it in an isolated spot. And that's where the toughness come in at. So as I talked about, you know, things being easy, because a lot of times we don't rely on the man, we don't do what we're trained in the military, relying on your fellow soldier to help you out, you know, really believing in the next person to be able to help us out. Because we can't do it by ourselves. We got to work together. So as we come to family meetings and family gatherings and meetings when we're trying to bring our families back to a place of peace, you know, and I see it all the time, you know, being in the industry of the funeral business I'm into, and I speak to families all the time about this. And almost every single time that I'm able to speak in those settings, I always tell them all day long, let's build, let's remend broken relationships today. Let's say we're sorry about some things that happened 25, 30 years ago. Because the one thing you can't get back is time. And you can't get back a loved one. So let's say we're sorry to things that, you know, being able to be able to suck that pride up. Too many of us so prideful that we won't go back, revisit, and say, man, you know, the way I thought 20 years ago, man, it wasn't right. And I'm sorry. Being able to just say you're sorry, man, that go a long way with people. That go a long way in life. God look upon that. Being able to forgive folk, you know, and then so you can move forward with your life. Because God will never forgive you if you don't forgive other people. You don't forgive other situations. You know, so many times I look at it and we see ourselves in our newfound place, but never remember where God then brought us from. You know, we always went over here. And so even in my mindset as business, and I remember walking through the streets and doing what I do as on my insurance trail during the day. And I remember a young guy, you know, on the streets, you know, and I love brothers in the hood, because if it wasn't for them brothers, I would never be in the place that I am. And I'd never forget them guys, and I'd never turn my back on them, you know. And so I remember guys saying, man, Sean, I really love you and I respect you. I didn't at first. But man, after the years of just seeing you dedicated to doing what you do, man, I love you, man. And it chokes me up to even think about that now. It's where life then brought you from, man. I mean, you know, and even though some of them guys, you know, might be trying to grow in the place that they're at, I appreciate that, because no matter where you're at, you always need some motivation. You always need somebody. You need some fans, man. You need somebody to cheer you on. You need somebody to tell you, man, keep it going, because it's a marathon. That's why it's always a line of people at these marathons, these 10K runs, these, you know, long runs. You always see people lined all the way up to the finish line, because it's a marathon. So you need people to say, man, keep it going, keep it going. And that's the way I feel every day of my life, is to keep it going, because you never know the next young man, the next young lady that's going to need that assistance, or need somebody to say, man, I appreciate you. You know, you never know the next young man, the next young Quantrell that's going to Howard to say, Sean, man, you inspire me, bro. Because what happens, and I learned this early on looking outside my window before I even got involved in the community work. Man, people only gonna be as good as what they see. If the factory worker that's dad and he frustrated and he coming home and the job just been tough and the family just broken and, you know, and things just ain't going right and, you know, you can't make ends meet and you're kicking the dog every time you come home. You're checking everybody when you come to the house because you're frustrated. You know, young folk don't kind of want to say, well, I don't want to do that. Or that ain't the place I kind of want to be. But then when you look outside the window and you ride down the street, man, the guy that's hustling in the streets and selling drugs or whatever he might be doing in the street, and you kind of see him and he riding on 24s, 28s, he beats, he going and seem like a carefree life. And that's what gravitates our young folk. That's how the devil get them through this music and all this other stuff. Because he paints a picture and a fake facade that this is what life can be. So they'll gravitate to that and spend their time doing that. So that's what we started the program talking about the young man. See, that's because that's what he see. We got to get to a place of peace where you're in a job environment that you love doing. You know, I loved it one day. I went to the News Gazette and it was during some type of spring break or something. And big shouts out to those guys that put the program together for those young people. Because I watched about 30 young people that were being mentored by somebody at the News Gazette. And they're aspiring to be writers, reporters, investigative reporters, you know, columnists. You know, they're aspiring to be that. And so they're in high school, but they're planting those seeds and let other people water as they take their travels into life into college. And then they'll come out and they'll be great writers and inspiring reporters, broadcasters, whatever life's journey is. You know, you got to pour into those young people, the dreams, what they wish they want to do. But if you never pour in it, how can you get something out of something you never put nothing into? It just don't happen. We're in a place right now where farmers are there in their harvest season. They're going out and they're reaping the benefits of what they sowed. So they're going out gathering what they planted early on. Back in the spring when they planted the seeds, and as we see corn tall around, as we've seen bean fields growing, you know, now they're going and getting back. And that's the way it worked with our young people. That's the way it worked with our old people. You know, that older illustration of a guy, man, he messed his time up. He never did get anybody to water what was probably planted in him. So no investment in there. So nobody teaching nobody the next thing. You know, as I sit with families and I explain to them, you know, and I just learned something recently. We hear things like deregulation and stuff like that, you know, and I compare that to when we talk about commodities, and then you see that on the news and it start talking about, you know, bean crops and the investment of that and how that matches up to things. We'll kind of cut the news off because that's not important to us. We hear about deregulation of energy and we kind of, oh, that don't mean anything to us, but it does. And as a young man sit down and he learned the information and I'm moving so fast, 2 or 3 more guys tried to explain it to me, but we're moving so fast, the hustle and bustle of life, that we don't sit down and start getting educated on the things that are important to us. So as he starts showing me how important that is to me, just even on my Ameren power bill. And he showed me on there, hey man, deregulation allow supply companies to come in, various different supply companies that provide supply of power to us in our community. And that you have the choice now to choose what supplier you want. See, we tear them letters up. Those calls come to us and we, oh no, that's not important. We don't mess with nothing. We just go to it and we pay the bill. And I've did it. I'm guilty, I've done it. But then when I sat down and I did the math, because when you do the math, even in life, when you do the math is what it is. And it showed me I could save $500 a year. Who could use $500 extra a year? That's something that can be used. That can be put on a vacation. That can be put on an addition to the home. That can be put towards somebody's education. And as I've sat with families and showed them the significant difference in just the energy price, just the energy bill. But doing the math on life, when we sit down and just come to a place where we can just gather ourselves and let somebody filter some different information into us. We're getting to the dollars now. We're jumping over dimes to get to the dollars. Or we're jumping over dollars, dimes, and we're getting to those dollars. That's exactly what we're doing. Getting rid of the small stuff. That's insignificant. That makes no difference. You know, it's just the things that make us tick through our life, you know. And so as we come into a close of this television program, man, you know, I went a bunch of different directions and I had a lot of things to talk about, you know. I had a lot of things to talk about on this program, you know. And just, you know, being able to jump over dimes to get to them dollars, man. And that's the segment of the program, you know, jumping over dollars to get to you know, jumping over dimes to get to the dollars. And so, we're jumping over dollars to get to the dimes. I almost confused myself just then. And that's what we're doing. We're jumping over dollars. We're jumping over significant stuff. Jumping over dollars to get to dimes. Get to a place where, man, things don't really mean anything. And so as we can relate that to community, as relate that to this country, as relate that to our own personal lives, man, we have to just refocus, man. Just refocus. You know, just refocus on the important things of life and start just doing better. Because, you know, as you know better, you can do better. And as I know better, I can do better. You know, I can move around and do better and be able to really, really smile, man. Because a lot of times I just seen one of the local pastors, you know, he put on Facebook, you know, how can we walk around and never smile, man? Because a lot of us are frustrated. And as we get poured this meal that we're getting poured every day, it frustrates us. And what's in you gonna come out you. It's just a matter of sitting around you and you find it out. So whatever's in you, the love, if you don't have the love, the kindness, you know, the love, kindness, you know, the Bible speaks a lot about that, man. So love and kindness, you know, you got to have that. And that's the way you're able to just love on folk and bless people. And people are happy to see you. You light the room up. People are able to, hey, look, you know, can you just give me some uplift? Can you just give me some uplift? Can you come around? Sometimes they might even say they need some uplift. Just call you and say, hey, man, what you doing? Because they need that smiling face, man. There used to be a song called Smiling Faces. Smiling Faces, man. So I appreciate everybody that tune into this program every Sunday night and say, Sean, I watch your TV program every Sunday night. I thank the Lord for you. And man, I thank you for watching another episode of Let the Truth Be Told.